2. What's going on, everybody? This is a very special day here on the Productive Conversations podcast as we celebrate 1 year of shows. Though today is Monday, October 25th. The official anniversary was last Wednesday, October 20th. It's like when you were going to parties as kids, and the party wasn't exactly on your birthday, but it was around it. So I figured we'd do the same thing. 1 year
enough.
Podcast, 115 episodes. And we have our great friend Ryan Page, also host of the Tweet Cap, here to celebrate the 1 year anniversary. What's going on, Ryan?
Not much, Matt. How are you? Doing good on this 1 year anniversary. 1 year. 1 year ago, you decided, hey, why not? And a year later, I mean, what is it? 115 episodes or something?
This would be 115, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, wow, that's a busy year. To put it mildly, that's a really busy year. In a year when most people went the other way and got less busy.
Yeah, I just figured we're all given a life where we have to dig and grind a lot. I figured that's mine. And I feel there is these talents and hard work that I can prove myself in, while also giving platforms to so many people and showing off their stories. I'm just hosting it, but it's the guests who make it and the listeners who support it. So we thank all those men, women, and people for making it possible. And we have more stories to tell on this, just an episode of reflection. And
Absolutely.
It feels really, really good. And I figured with my oldest friend here, might as well just talk about funny stuff. As simple as that. Of course, we have our tweet caps when we can, but I just figured that as we complete this, first anniversary, we start moving forward as one of the most frequent guests on the show anyways. And one of my favorites to do podcasts with, and it's really easy. And like I said, that's why we're happy to have you here, Ryan.
Happy to be here.
One thing I figured, I feel the anniversary show I got the idea of Tonight Show, Johnny Carson, they'd often do anniversary shows. And I love big revelations, or if things have to apologize for. There's one thing I have to apologize for you, Ryan, properly.
Okay.
And I'm really sorry about this, but this must have been like in middle school when Rock Band was popular and Guitar Hero. You and I think your siblings were rocking out to a song, and I got a bit carried away. I was in the moment, and I did the Pete Townsend smashing the guitar, which I didn't realize. I thought, because I used to do it on my own controller and it worked fine, but went a little too hard. So Ryan,
perfect form for anyone who's listening. It was perfect form. You would have thought the Who had just finished their set. It was a beautiful arc all the way up and over with a nice loud crack when it hit our living room floor. So a beautiful form. Not surprised it broke, because again, you did go for it, but you can't knock something that was just so picture perfect. If we had filmed it, we could have probably sold it as an NFT.
The original.
Productive Conversations podcast NFT right there, if we can find that clip. But I don't think anyone filmed it, so it'll have to just live in our memories like back in the old days.
Well, again, I hope you forgive me, Ryan, and I will get you
completely forgot about it.
Rock Band Guitar Hero controller. If you still
I miss Rock Band. What happened to those? Like, those games took over the world. Like Guitar Hero, Rock Band, like they made like 1,700 different rock bands, like 2 million different Guitar Hero variants, and like every single one was just like, I mean, obviously they must have gotten less and less sales each time because they just disappeared. But like for like, I don't even know how long, it felt like every other video game was Guitar Hero or Rock Band, and people were loving it. And now it's just gone.
Yeah.
Do you think anyone still plays? Like, do you think anyone still has the full kit just like in their garage and says, I'm going to rock out to a Spirit in the Sky one more time?
There was definitely a lot of Guitar Hero controllers and dumpsters between 2006 to 2012.
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess it was just a big fad that ran out. They had the DJ Hero. You would think there's always songs to produce, but when they
Right. You just
got
keep adding songs. It should be a no-brainer, right?
yeah, and they used to have those DLC packs for all these catalogs. I don't want to say they ran out of songs, but like I don't know. Maybe it just got obsolete. Then they did the Beatles rock band, which is big,
We had that one.
Aerosmith,
Yeah, we had
Metallica.
that one.
Um, then they would have like, you could play as Kurt Cobain or Slash or Tom Morello, Rage Against the Machine.
No,
And
yeah, it's crazy to me because maybe it's just we don't play as many like people don't play couch co-op anymore either. Like a game where you have to physically be with someone to play. Like when you do
yeah,
multiplayer, it's online. So
right.
maybe it just got like nobody was playing in person video games anymore, like with each other, and so
hmm
you know.
Yeah, they say here if I just Googled it. There's like, why did Guitar Hero die in retrospective? Guitar Hero has a Twitter. Last time they
Still
tweeted
active.
was December 22nd, 2017.
Oh yikes! Okay, so it's dead. It's dead.
hmm Happy holidays for Guitar Hero Live. Get ready to deck the halls and rock around the tree. Yeah, it's just these fads, man. And it was fun while it lasted. And I'm sure anybody from any age would still love to rock it out.
I bet you when we get older, we're almost there. But when we get older, once we're the generation with like kids and stuff,
hmm
predominantly, I bet you they could make a comeback.
Yeah.
Like,
Sponsored by Spotify.
yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Obviously, someone would have to lend them some money because they're clearly out of it. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I feel like they could easily get it back. Like, because I mean, we're not gonna play Call of Duty quietly in the corner or like in the other room with like our kids, right? That
Yeah,
would be.
right.
I don't. Maybe we will. Maybe you do. In which case, okay. But I feel like that would be weird to like sit in opposite sides of your house and like play Call of Duty or like
hmm
play Far Cry co-op. So like I feel like that's one that like that's a family game. So once the parents are gamers along with the kids, because we don't have that. Like our parents didn't grow up with video games, so they couldn't care less. But like we did, so we'll know what they are. We'll be familiar with them. So I feel like once we have kids, then they could do like the family games again, because at that point the whole family will actually want to play a video game,
hmm
as opposed to when we were growing up when the family couldn't care less. I mean,
Yeah, right.
at
Just
all.
the kids.
They tried maybe once or twice. I think my parents did like some of the Wii games like once or twice.
hmm
And I know they did like Rock Band once or twice, but they couldn't care less about, any of that. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe they just have to, they're biding their time, waiting for all of their kids to get old enough to have their own kids and multiply that way.
Yeah. And I did some research. See, in 2020, the online servers for Guitar Hero 3 were shut down on PlayStation 3 and Wii. The
So that means
only
no new.
yeah,
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
the only now the only playable online you could do is on Xbox 360, which is now two generations of video games back. And yeah,
$360.
that's an interview
Wow.
I'd like to find. Why do you still play Guitar
Xbox
Hero?
360.
And then yeah, that's both those questions. Xbox
Well,
360
for
and
some
Guitar
people,
Hero.
it might be Guitar Hero, right?
It was really like it. I remember it was big. They had those in the arcades in the now
Mm-hmm.
closed My Three Sons, which is
I know.
just
It's
the
crazy that it's closing.
yeah, it already is closed. If you drive by it,
Mm-hmm.
it's a for sale sign. And well, what I'm talking about for
They
anyone who
bought it.
doesn't
It's
know,
been purchased, I think.
yeah, with that Milligan, the big real estate mogul in
Yeah.
Norwalk. So, anyways, yeah, in Norwalk, Connecticut, there's a old arcade named My Three Sons, and it's closed. No one wants to. I did again. I don't know. You'd have to, study it, but it was a big place, and you'd lots of parties and kid parties and stuff, and
With the way like Dave and Buster's
they
is,
took it over.
no, but like just think about it. Again, although I guess our parents did have arcades,
Yeah,
probably, at least for a little bit, like when they were old. Maybe they weren't kids, but they were probably like, I don't know, someone who has to know about more about video games than me would probably need to be the person to answer this, but like,
Right.
what, like the 80s, right? Like they were all like at least in middle school or high school in the 80s. None of my, I don't think either of my parents were like full grown yet.
Mhm.
Full grown. That sounds horrible. They weren't like adults. I wasn't
Yeah.
born yet, that sort of thing. So they were still, in school. But like, I just wonder, like, with the way like all these people flock to Dave and Buster's, why don't they try their like to keep these places open as
Like
maybe not
more
like a
adult
kids
oriented.
arcade, well, but make it like more for like a whole, again, for a whole family. I really do like a whole generation of people who grew up playing video games is about to be, you know, parents. They're about to have, within like the next 5 years, they're gonna
Yeah.
have like families. I just feel like it's kind of now would be the time to do it before anybody else thinks about it, because then you have it and you're ahead of the game. Whereas I guess you don't want to go too early. Maybe that's what
Mhm.
it is. But I just feel like that's something that people are not thinking about, because we see it. Like, how old are some of these streamers who make their entire money playing like Fortnite? They're not kids.
Yeah.
They're older than
Between
us, some
they're
of them.
like, yeah, late
Some are
20s,
like
early
30
30s.
something. Yeah.
They just make money gaming.
So like games are no longer like, it's not something you put away once you get to a certain age like it was. So I just don't understand why they would cut. I mean, my three sons, maybe, obviously I don't know their specific situation, but just in general, I feel like family gaming is about to make a really big comeback in like the next 5 to 6 years. But I don't know if anyone's really thinking about it yet.
Hmm.
That's a shame, because it would be cool if you could play video games as an actual family. And who wants to play Call of Duty with their kid? Like,
It's
get over here
just
so
too
I can
awkward.
shoot you, right?
Hmm.
Feel
Play
like
search and destroy.
search and destroy your
Hmm.
children. Although it could be good therapy for some parents, probably.
Let the tension out. I guess any way to make more money. I keep thinking about this, Ryan, how man, the 2010s, the aughts are now 20 years ago.
Yep.
And then there's a legit name now to remember it. The
Yeah.
aughts. For a long time, I was like, what do they call this? The aughts. They'll figure
Yep.
out something for the 2010s. And now we're pushing on now 2 years of the 2020s. These have to change. And it's now, traditions. This is a real time where traditions are starting to break in this decade.
Mm-hmm.
And, turning it back with how things are changed, like the Yankees now, right? They're not as prolific as they were 12 years,
Who's,
last 12
sorry
years,
to
because they
be
won the World
ignorant,
Series. And
Aaron Boone. He was
yeah,
trending all day today. Are we happy? Are we unhappy?
I'm happy about Aaron Boone being
Is everyone
re-signed.
happy though?
No, definitely not. I would honestly think
Okay.
85% of Yankee fans are absolutely furious he got re-signed.
So the trending was likely anger then.
Very
I
much
didn't
so.
sift through all of it. I just noticed he was number one trending, and I was like, all right, who the
Yeah.
heck is Boone?
Yeah, Boone, Yankees manager, got re-signed after 4 seasons of tough playoff, well, 3 seasons of heartbreaking playoff losses, and they're bringing him back. And there was always that adage, oh, George Steinbrenner was here, he'd be gone a long time ago. But if also George Steinbrenner was here, he'd be canceled. Literally. And you can't just, with the way baseball's made, you can't just keep firing people and putting them in. It's just not a good look. And
That's how the Jets do it.
yeah,
It's a true
where's
story.
it gone so far?
Nowhere. I was at that game they won though.
Oh,
That first win of the season.
against Tennessee. Well, I guess you need to come back, Ryan.
Maybe.
Their only hope.
I watched them lose 3 years ago on Christmas Eve, so I don't think I'm a good luck charm. If they had won, if I was 100% on Jets, I would probably have bought season tickets at this point just to
And
see.
New York football in general has turned into a real tragedy. It
Well,
really has.
the Jets were there. I don't think that I don't think we can blame the Jets for that. They've been pretty consistent my whole
Yeah.
life anyway.
And the Giants have been consistent in the last 5 years of
Although, talking about
awfulness.
memories, remember we were in New York City when the Jets beat the Patriots
Oh,
in the
yes.
playoffs?
In the playoffs 2010 divisional game.
It's the only time I've seen Times Square cheer for the Jets. And
Remember
they
the guy?
made everything green too. Like they put the
Yeah.
Jets logo on everything. They made it green, like, because again, I mean, Manhattan, that all of New York City is really Giants, territory. I mean, one time I was wearing the Newark High School band jacket, in New York. It was when we performed at that the Nutcracker
The
thing.
Abby Fisher Hall in
Yeah. Lincoln
Lincoln
Center. Yeah.
Center. Yep.
And so I was we were walking around New York. My parents obviously came to the show, and after the show, we were just kind of walking around. We got some food, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's the holiday times. And I was wearing the old green jacket,
Mm-hmm.
and it had like the old school cursive writing. I had the old jacket. I didn't replace it with a new jacket.
Mm-hmm.
And so it kind of looked like an old school Jets jacket.
Mm-hmm.
And someone actually came up from behind and shoved me.
What?
And then when he saw it wasn't a Jets jacket, apologized, telling me outright he thought it was a Jets jacket.
I'm surprised he'd apologize.
Yeah, but seriously, he was enraged, and he's like, "Oh, just kidding, not a Jets jacket. You're good." So like, New York City is not Jets territory. It's just not. But that night, though, everything was green and everybody was cheering. Obviously, you're about to tell the story about the guy.
The get him
in the restaurant. Get him
every time. It was like the defense hurt him. And then they stopped Brady that night, and that's why they won.
And so, but yeah, that was pretty surreal to be there, in Manhattan and see the Jets get their respect, get their love just for a night.
They
ruined it the next night or the next week the next week.
Lost against Pittsburgh, the conference championship, and that's honestly their best win of all. Some argues their best win of all time. Literally, compared with they won the Super Bowl, yes, but you did beat Tom Brady in New England in the playoffs. That's definitely number 2. In that game, they did.
And now Mark Sanchez, or not this season, but a couple seasons ago, spoiler, cover your ears, he was on the Masked Singer.
Yeah. Did he win?
He didn't. He did poorly.
You know who I saw on the Masked Singer? Victor Oladipo?
Yeah, that was a while ago. Spoiler alerts for season, what is it?
2?
Something like that.
Well, I didn't know he's like a renowned singer. Like they think he'll be
really good. He got fourth.
They think he'll be a singer after his NBA career.
Yeah, he was one spot away from the finals, and it was close.
He actually could sing, huh?
He was like in the mix there with like Seal. The singer Seal. Yeah. Awesome, a very good singer. Mm-hmm. My favorite performer that season. Yeah, he was in the mix for real. And he had some real competition too. I mean, Chris Daughtry was on that season. We are just, by the way, if you never watched The Masked Singer, just skip to season 3 because you've been spoiled. But yeah, I mean, Chris Daughtry was in that season. What was it? I believe one of the Cheetah Girls was in that season. Two of them. Raven was on it, but she
not
didn't do
Raven.
Well. Oh no, she was on too, well. But she got robbed. This is the season Rob Gronkowski won like a bunch of weeks for no reason, even though he cannot sing.
He's just Gronk.
Adrienne Bailon, she was the one who she got third or something, and Wayne Brady, he won that season. So like there were some really good singers that season, and he did very well.
Some Broadway names, and then Victor Oladipo of the
exactly. It was 4 recording artists and Victor Oladipo.
I think Tiki Barber is technically been on Broadway before.
Really?
I'm about to Google it right. The guy who, he was in Kinky Boots from January.
So was Wayne Brady
to March 8th. Yeah, he was on.
Does he sing
Don
too?
Yeah, I assume so. I've never seen Kinky Boots. Don, is that the big character on this?
Never seen Kinky Boots, but I mean, if he could sing, he'd be great on that show. No one would ever guess Tiki Barber, right? I mean,
and then here was one of the guys. This is gonna be crazy. So, one of the Madden covers was on Broadway for Chicago. He played the main role. I'm really blanking on his name. I'll know it once a year. It's Eddie George, who was on the Titans. He was on Broadway, and he played whatchamacallit, the main role in Chicago.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Who would have thought? And he's here. 2016, he was Billy Flynn in Chicago on Broadway.
People have strange talents, you know.
Herschel Walker? He was a ballerina.
Yeah. Well, he's the one running for Senate, right?
Yeah. In Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Well, who see?
Speaking of Chicago, by the way, I know your only directive was think of memories. So
Mhm.
I have one. So I was a music major for a little bit in college, right? As you know,
Yep.
actually for a lot of it, but anyway, not the point. So you had to perform, obviously, as a music major. That's part of what you have to do. You have to be on stage, and so I was in like it was like, and they had different levels of it. Like there's like the full recitals that you had to do. Obviously, there's like the smaller ones that are just like kind of a test, and then they have these kind of like weekly ones where just a couple people had to go up and perform, and you didn't have a lot of time to prepare. Sometimes you only had a couple weeks, but it wasn't a big audience. You just did one song instead of like four or five. And so, sometimes you had to do something specific. Most of the time it was just, whatever. But this time they wanted us to do something from a stage, like something from a musical theater, right? Which is not what I did a little bit of that, but I actually did a lot of other things like movie soundtracks and regular soundtracks because I was
Really?
music business. So I didn't have to do a lot of the other stuff. I was given a lot of passes because I wasn't trying to be an actual performer, like classically trained or anything like that. I
Mhm.
was not even looking to be a performer, actually. I was
Mhm.
looking to be in like working for like a record label or working for a promoter or a venue, something like that.
Mhm.
But I did have to do it. It was just kind of one of those things. But they were very lenient. But this time they were less lenient. We all had to do it. Was like a cabaret thing. So I did Chicago, Mr. Cellophane, and which is one of the songs. It's kind of one of the bigger, more well-known songs.
Mhm.
Um, don't know what it's supposed to be about. Only seen Chicago once, and I'm pretty sure I
Mhm.
fell asleep. But I just forgot the entire second verse. So I sang the beginning of the song, got through the chorus, could not remember the note, could not remember. I mean, couldn't remember a thing. It was like the fact that I could say any words at all ended up being impressive to me. And so my instructor, who actually passed the next year while I was there, but
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
yeah, it's so he was in the back and he never came to any of my stuff because he was adjunct, so he wasn't like
Mhm.
he didn't teach there all the time. He came in specifically to NAS and like University of Rochester. I think he even did stuff at Eastman, which was like
Mhm.
the big music school in Rochester, New York. And so for whatever reason, he must have had like a lesson right before. And so he was around. So he came because he's like, how many of my students? He only had like four students in the entire school. So he didn't have a lot of students either. He was again kind of like just to fill in the gaps, which is why I ended up with him because they're like, whatever, he's not a real performer.
Yeah.
And so he decided to come, and he was like in at the door, and he looks at me, and I just start making up words. I couldn't even tell you what I said, but I started waving my arms too. All of a sudden, I was dancing
Mhm.
because I had to figure something out to get to the chorus. And I just look up again after seeing him there, and the door is just swinging. And he walked out. So I got through the song, and then the next. It was a Friday, so then that Monday I had a lesson with him, and I walked in and I said, I couldn't help but notice you caught my performance last week. And he just looked at me for like a minute, and then he sat down and took out a piece of music, and he's like, we're not even going to get into it. And we never spoke about it ever again. He goes, we're not even going to get into it. You made it through the set, but we're not going to get into it. And that was that. And it was just so funny. Like I said, I don't know why that particularly. I guess it's because you mentioned Chicago, but yeah, it was just the door swinging, like in like a TV show. Like I didn't even
Yeah.
think that could happen with that door. I'm pretty sure there's a magnet or something that makes it so it can't do that, but the door was swinging as he just walked out. He's like, yeah, okay, my one student performing can't remember, the English language.
Yeah. Couldn't even
But
do a funny dance like Ashley Simpson from
I,
SNL.
I mean, no, a funny dance was the criteria. I think I ended up nailing that because we hadn't planned to dance. That was not part of what I was doing. But I was like, if I move enough, they won't realize I'm not singing. I don't know what I thought was going to happen, but so
And the other funny Chicago thing that Geraldo Rivera,
I do.
apparently like in the late 80s there was this big reveal that he found Al Capone's vault, like literally, and it was a huge
He's been
syndicated
finding a
TV
bunch of
special.
people's faults. If you look
Yeah.
for the serial killer too, H.H. Holmes in Chicago, also in Chicago.
He didn't find him, or he
I
got
think so.
away.
He claims he. Oh well, he died, but
Oh,
he says he did. He found like the secret whatever of the hotel, and
mhm.
then they got like a bunch of like contractors and construction folks, and they're like gonna do this whole thing, and they get there. It was something I don't remember exactly what it is. So if you do remember, I apologize if you're listening. But it was something silly like they didn't have permits or something. So he's got this whole camera crew, this big reveal he's gonna find. He's like, some Chicago native is like, you can't dig here.
Oh, sorry, folks. See you later. That's what he pretty
Like,
much.
what do you mean we can't dig here? He goes, you gotta have papers.
Mhm.
Don't make the rules. And they're like, back it
Don't
up.
make-
No, like, what the heck? Why did they keep this in the finished product?
That's
Because I didn't
funny.
watch it live. I watched it like later. You know what I mean? It's not
Yeah,
new.
and
So the
that's
fact that they kept that in was just crazy to me.
and that's what they put on YouTube. So they have the thing right. They open it. There's literally nothing. All they thought was moonshine bottles,
Huh.
and
Well, moonshine's not nothing. I mean, you know,
or even when it was empty, or I don't
well,
know if it
yeah,
was moonshine bottle. It was just definitely an old school
just bottles.
bottle,
Yeah.
and pretty much he told people if I couldn't find, I'll sing a song, and he just sings Chicago, Chicago, and you just see him so embarrassed. I think it was watched by legit 50 million people at the time, which is huge for nothing. Hey, at least it
Oh
was
man, if
live.
50 million people are watching, you got to sing a better song than that.
You can't say it wasn't scripted.
Yeah, no, it definitely wasn't scripted.
Geraldo Rivera,
Oh
man.
man.
He had even worse than Maury. He had an old show. Like, I don't know if you ever saw, like, he brought these
Mhm.
like the white supremacists
Oh yeah,
and like
he
that.
talked to anybody who could pop a rating.
And like they have a true brawl in the middle of it. He breaks his nose in the middle of the camera, and
I remember that. I remember seeing that clip. I
I
forget
mean,
what I was watching that put that clip in there, but
yeah, and this guy's still pushing at Fox News. I think he's in his late 80s, and
I mean, he looks pretty good for late 80s, I will say.
yeah, nice work if you can get it right. You know,
Something like that.
from the 80s too, right? You and I were in elementary school from the years 2000 to 2006.
Mhm.
I mean, literally between 20 and 14 years was when we were in elementary school. And now looking back, Ryan, 2006 to 2006 were insane times for the United States. Not like comparing it to the 60s, but between 9/11, Katrina, Bush, Iraq and Afghanistan war, there's a lot going on in this country while we were trying to learn our ABCs.
I think it's almost better that that's how old we were.
Yeah, right? Can you imagine us now? Can you imagine Twitter?
People like I'm sure people will disagree with this next statement, but that's okay. I think I'm your most frequent guest, so no one's going to be surprised by what I say. But we got very lucky that 2010, you know, 2014, 2013, 2015, that kind of area, that was like high school
Yeah.
and college for us.
Yeah, beginning college.
I would say those are the most formative years, not maybe physically or whatever, but like you as a person, like you change, hopefully you change your whole life based on new information,
Yeah.
Learning and growing, but like you do most of your learning and growing in that time frame. I feel
Right.
like the biggest chunk. And
Definitely.
I mean, could you imagine if our worldview was shaped by like completely by like 9/11 in the housing crisis,
Yeah,
or
like if we
like
were born 10
people
years
now,
earlier. Mm-hmm.
people
Yeah,
who are
right.
in college in like, from 2016 through 2024, or high school, college from that age, like could you imagine if all of the most formative years were like battling with COVID and civil unrest and
Oh
all
man.
this stuff? Like we actually had like a relatively, I mean, we had a lot of new technology and stuff. Like there was definitely a lot happening, but like
Yeah.
our big thing was like Apple. The
Mhm.
big thing that changed in our lifetime was like Apple became synonymous with, everything.
Right.
Whereas for other people, it was, the housing market crashed and also we were attacked in
Yeah.
New York. And we were like alive, sure, but
Mm-hmm.
we were, like you said, learning our ABCs. And that was the
Yeah.
most pressing issue for us at the time.
Right.
And you get same now, we're older now. So obviously we we're living through these times too, but could you imagine being like in high school during, 2019, 2020, 2021,
Yeah,
or
like
even
like
early
my brother
college?
Tommy, I'm just like,
Yeah,
geez, that's something to
it's just
experience
really
this stuff there.
like the way that's going to form your like views, and the way that's going to form you as a person. It's just gonna, I feel like it's gonna make you very stressed.
Yeah, and like
Very, very
the
stressed.
the 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 election of Donald Trump in 2016 going, I wanted
That
there
was
be a
the one I
huge
was
difference.
trying to avoid by name. I will say
Mhm.
that. I was trying to be nice to you, but if you want to say it, it's your show.
Yeah, I'll say, during that, at the very last year of college, senior year, just imagine what it would have been like in high school and
Or
like
your
all the
freshman
things
year of
that,
college, because
yeah.
colleges became like a hotbed for like a lot of these conversations and a lot of
Oh,
this stuff.
we got
You know
out
what I
just
mean?
in time, huh?
Right. No, seriously, like we had
Yeah.
kind of done a lot of our growing.
Hmm.
Uh, so we could hopefully, not everybody, but hopefully kind of take everything in stride, knowing our beliefs and knowing that, okay, maybe I don't really like what's happening right now, but as an adult, I'm gonna work through it, and I can, I'll do my part to change it, and just keep on going. But in college, you're not there yet. In high school, for sure, you're not there yet. So it's just crazy to think of how the times, like I said, we had that one little patch. I don't want to give, again, I was going to avoid saying this too, but you mentioned the T word, so I'll use the O word. We had we grew up in like the Obama presidency, which is why I said at the beginning people are going to disagree with this take. That was relatively is the operative word, relatively calm. Like I said, a lot of new technology,
Yes.
a lot of changes, but there was not a lot of like
People,
upheaval.
it's
You know what I
no, there
mean?
wasn't a lot of riots going on.
Unrest.
There wasn't
Yeah, it was
better
just
perfect.
different. It changed a lot. Like the world changed a lot when we were in high school, but it wasn't like, it didn't feel violent or chaotic like this right before and right after were violent and chaotic. And there was like a little calm in the middle of the storm. It was like the eye of the storm, maybe.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, as we get older and the day we have kids and when they get older, it's just like, man, what a time we went through. And who knows what the next 10, 5, 10, 15 years are going to be like. We just don't know. I mean, the big thing, the pandemic, and I guess it's just one of those things that you just had to deal with. Like we always talked about, man, imagine living through World War II or, you know, the Great
Hopefully
Depression
someday
and stuff
someone
like
can say,
that.
imagine living through the COVID-19 pandemic. And that,
Boy.
of course, indicates that we're not currently still living in the COVID-19 pandemic.
Well,
Hopefully someday we get to that point.
well, check out this show. The first year of this show, that was all like, especially the first 4 months, I would say up until April, there was at least one COVID conversation. Even on the sports shows, there were COVID conversations. And
it was everything. Still kind of is. I mean, we just turned this into a COVID conversation. Look at that.
yeah, man,
Not a
what a
long one
time.
though. They've gotten shorter. That's what's benefit. That's the benefit.
We'll just keep on keeping on until then. And that's what the history books are for. I think we'll have some great stories to tell. And one thing you and I were also in, we used to go to a Catholic church called St. Jerome's Church.
Mm-hmm.
Now as I get older, I don't identify as a Catholic anymore. I'm more spiritual, but I still enjoyed my time there, your time, and still walk by it every most of the time. Do you have any funny stuff that happened with that church? I realized how laid back it was for a Catholic church. I didn't
Yeah, I
realize
mean,
how tense it was.
as laid back as it was, and since I've moved away, I've learned exactly how laid back it was. I still wouldn't consider anything like funny. I mean, it was still a church, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if anything funny comes to mind. Obviously, we were both in like their total program,
Yeah, the
which was
youth
like
group.
youth group for those of you who don't
I like people
don't
who.
follow. Yeah, exactly. So you do all like the church games, and like there are church games. If you grew
Mhm.
up around any church, probably Catholic or otherwise, you know like the church games. And so there was those, and I mean, like I said, it was a different group of people. I will say one thing about Total that was interesting is in the Total room, it didn't, like, it was weird. The clicks didn't hold up. Like outside,
Yeah,
the clicks
right.
held up, obviously. Like where you were in high school, where you were on your sports team,
Hmm.
wherever, like that held. But for whatever reason, and maybe it's because it was kind of a smaller group, the ages were not separated.
There was
Maybe that's
God.
why. I mean, yeah, maybe God being, you know, God was theoretically watching, so maybe everybody
Yeah,
was on their best behavior. I don't know, but that was kind of weird to me. Like, and I got to talk to people that I probably otherwise wouldn't have talked very much to.
for sure.
Obviously, all those conversations had to somehow reference Jesus, so wasn't like a lot of good stuff. But
What's up, Jesus?
um, although I will say the other funny thing. All right, this might be funny to me, as I just mentioned before. I am a performer. Well, was kind
Yeah.
of, sort of. I don't like to say that because most of the time when people hear me perform, I've done pretty much a bad job. But
Oh, you're
so
talented, God.
no, I do actually think that I'm pretty good, but I do mess up a lot. But that's not the point. So um, every year for like Easter Sunday, or rather Good Friday, but the
Yeah.
Easter season, they would do the Stations of the Cross. So for
Hmm.
those of you who are not religious, you
Aware
could
of
just skip
Jesus.
this whole section, right? But if you want to learn, Stages of the Cross is supposed to be the story of how Jesus was crucified, and it goes all the way through, like
Yeah,
from
a
when he.
less violent version of Passion of the Christ.
Right. So think about Passion of the Christ, but instead of, well, who did Mel Gibson was Jesus, right?
It was Jim Caviezel. He directed and wrote it.
All right. So
Not Mel
okay. So
Gibson.
instead of Jim Caviezel being all bloody, it was me. And instead of Mel Gibson shouting anti-Semitic things to me while I did it, it was the director of the choir, Joan McFarlane. So that's really the only two differences. Is Fat Jesus and less, not less, sorry, not less, zero
Yeah.
anti-Semitism from the director. I don't want to say less because that implies there was some. There was not. But anyway, so but it's the Stations of the Cross is the Passion of Christ. So he goes, he gets tried, sort of, has to go on the cross, carries it, puts it on the
Didn't have
thing,
Johnny
gets nailed
Cochran
down.
represented.
He did not. I don't think the glove would have fit. But anyway, and so it's a show. They wrote it. They made it a show. So in between, like, just kind of talking about the stations, they have musical numbers
Yeah.
from Godspell, from Jesus Christ Superstar, and then just some like hymnals
Yeah.
that they kind of popped up to make it
They
fit
combined
the
these
other
two
two.
shows.
Yeah, they combined two shows with some like actual prayers and made like their own quasi show.
Hmm.
And I remember because they said it every year at auditions too. One of the main criteria for auditioning was faith and attendance at total, which was really their way of saying only the people in this group can be in it, obviously, which means not everyone's going to do a good job.
Yeah.
Well, that's not even true. I think everyone always did like the best
Yeah.
that they could do, right? Like not everybody's a singer or an actor or whatever, so not everybody could do like awesome, but everybody did well. Like they did what they could.
Mm.
But that was always something they kind of like pre-warned us about, and they pre-warned the parents about before the show. Like, hey, this is the best that they can do. It's about prayer. It is
So
not about, this is not going to be up for a Tony.
not exactly.
Promise. And so I always thought that was kind of fun. All 4 years I did it, just because, again, seeing people who were not musical, because I was always around the musical kids. So
Mhm.
seeing people who were not musical to kind of step into that role gave me this like weird, sick kind of just like a little smirk, and it went away right away. Just like, yeah, you guys think it's so easy.
Yeah, not so
What
easy,
I
huh?
do, you think is easy. Well, I do it sometimes bad, and I practice and I try. So imagine how you guys are gonna feel. But it was all, like I said, it was always kind of fun to see people who were not like in music, like you particularly
Mhm.
not big into the musical theater world yourself,
Yeah,
but you
not
were in it.
yeah. I as
So
like
like,
definitely out of college, I got more into it. I mean,
well,
out of high
but
school,
like
I
as
did, but
a
yeah.
like as a connoisseur, but not
Oh
as
yeah, for
a
sure.
performer. You know what I mean? You never
Exactly.
took
Yeah,
a
I'm not.
dance lesson or did acting or anything like that.
I've never done any of it.
You've always
No.
been like the technical side, like this kind of stuff. You can do the editing
Exactly.
and like your,
Right.
lights out and all that. But so like, but like to see you in it and just a couple other
It's
people
Pontius
who were
Pilate.
not. Yeah, yeah. Matt was a named character, folks. So
after my film analysis that has taken over me and understanding literature more, I would have taken that so differently. I just try to not forget my lines.
That's always step one. And as I said, it's sometimes a very hard step.
Yeah. That was the main thing.
I did it frequently when I performed.
That was the main thing I was just thinking about, was not forgetting my lines. If I just knew how to put emotion in that character, actually knew what was going on, it would have been an even better performance.
But again, it wasn't about that. And I just, I always liked seeing everybody try and step into that role just for the Lent season. Because it was, one, like I said, kind of in a sick way, I had a little bit of a leg up, and that made me happy because I didn't always have a leg up.
Right.
But also because it was just cool to see everybody, express themselves that way. Into like, and I'm not even just like the religious stuff. Like, I know Father Dave would love to hear, like, to see everybody in thoughtful prayer, and I'm sure that was good too. But to see everybody like try and like find themselves as a performer just for one night, just for a group of like family and friends, to try and find themselves as performers, was always kind of fun for me.
Yeah.
As somebody who spent a lot of their like, as a kid performing, so I don't know.
I just had 2 long rehearsals. That's it.
Well, they had the short rehearsals too.
True. I just always looked forward to that dinner. I really
the dinner right before.
Dinner right before. One of my favorite things. First one, you should have won that IT scholarship.
Oh,
I just wanted that on the record.
Okay, well, I appreciate that.
And everyone else knows that you are justified. And one of my favorite old friend, Nate, who wish he got it, but he didn't get it. And he said, "You know what? I'm done believing in God. I'm done with my Roman Catholicism for the rest of my life because he didn't give me the scholarship. I'm done with Catholicism."
Don't say that. He's trying to get married.
Oh, he's gonna have to do the other routes.
You're gonna have to pretend.
Do a Jewish wedding. Have to go to get converted. And then my favorite thing I've ever done, I don't know, I've said this story, not on the show, but I've said this story. That one time we were all hanging out, this was even like in 7th grade. And I was genuinely like, that was when I was really getting into music. But then you would hear like, oh, this band is satanic, like Led Zeppelin. If you play that Stairway to Heaven backwards, it's
when we were like, when we were in like 8th grade or whatever. Yeah, that was kind of like listening to the Beatles backwards, all that stuff.
Yeah, so I was legit in fear. So while in a group with the famous Father Dave, I asked him, "Father Dave, is it a sin to listen to Metallica?" He was laughing. He used to laugh like Suto, ho, 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 man. And he said, "Yes, it is." He said it's a sinless Metallica, and I'm sorry. I hope God forgives you for that sin. I love Metallica. That's the heaviest I will go.
A song about one of their best songs. I believe this is Metallica. If I'm wrong, I'm
Enter
sorry.
Sandman?
No. I mean, that's one of the ones that the priests don't like. But one of the best songs is a song called Dear God.
Yeah, see.
And it's about like his family while he's on the road. I believe that's Metallica. I'm really pretty sure. I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah, Dear God. And by the when it comes to the spectrum of heavy metal stuff, Metallica is the highest I'll go in terms of heavy.
Yeah, no, I don't listen to a lot of. Well, I don't even listen to a lot of
Metallica, and I just think they have the best name, one of the coolest names for a band ever. Metallica.
No, it's Avenged Sevenfold. Oh, look at me. I don't know anything.
That was a very middle school band.
So there you go. That's exactly. I don't listen to Metallica. I listen to other things.
Metallica.
But Avenged Sevenfold, which is, I think they're similar enough, maybe not.
Yeah, I haven't really listened to them much, but I know.
If you are a big metal fan, tell us at ttweetcap on Twitter. Tweet at me at ttweetcap why Avenged Sevenfold isn't as good as Metallica.
Oh, Ryan, I have another question. Why do people always make fun of Creed and Nickelback? I thought they weren't bad. I mean,
Creed's kind of bad.
All right, Creed, all their songs do sound the same, so, and it's not a fun sound. I can see that, but Nickelback, like, they're not that bad, are they?
I think Nickelback. I mean, I don't listen to Nickelback actually anymore. That's not a joke. I don't. but I think it's like a weird backlash. I think it's the opposite. It's the reverse Justin Bieber.
The reverse
I'm
Justin
quoting
Bieber.
that.
They are Canadian.
Also a good point. I didn't even make that connection. So boom, boom, boom. We're firing off connections. But so Justin Bieber, when we were all, and you can deny it, that's fine. When we were all kids, especially young men, not girls for obvious reasons, we all hated Justin Bieber. Only because he was cuter than us and he had a lot of money. That's the only reason we hated Justin Bieber. There's no good reason we hated Justin Bieber. Yeah, well, yes, but I mean, the reason why a generation of young kids hated another a young Canadian boy is simply because he was better looking than we were, and also he had more money than us. And so now that we're older, I mean, he's still, I don't even know if he's better. Like, he's got a lot going on, but whatever. He's still probably better looking. He's better looking than me. So he's still better looking than us. He still has more money than us, but we all have our own money, sort of. We all, have our own girls, sort of, or guys, or whatever, sort of. So most guys are now comfortable enough in themselves to not hate Justin Bieber for being successful. And they're like, yeah, actually, he's kind of good. You know what I mean? Like, listen, he's a pop singer, so he's not necessarily everyone's favorite. But they're like, yeah, he's fine.
I can attest to that. I like some of his music as I got older. Now looking back, there's some hilarious like, baby, boy.
Well, that's bad. But I mean, it's not
the one song, One Less Lonely Girl. I always said, man, if only someone else, like Ed Sheeran sang that or something.
Oh, I think it did really well with Justin Bieber singing it, to be honest with you. I don't think it needs too much changing. We just didn't like Justin Bieber. But
this 13-year-old had some crazy lyrics. I'm gonna let me just read some of these lyrics. And he was like 12. I mean, there's gonna be one less lonely girl. How many I told yous and start overs and shoulders have you cried on before? And how many promises? Be honest.
There's no way
how many tears hit the floor? I mean, probably not. But for a 12-year-old, it says here, "I love you."
Well, there you go.
It says here, songwriters were Usher. It literally says Usher was one of the songs.
Oh, and Usher wrote a bunch of his stuff.
And 4 people I just don't know, but I'm sure they're very talented.
I'm sure they're very talented. They're just not Usher. But as I was saying, the reverse Bieber. So when we were kids, we all loved Nickelback. You can pretend you didn't.
Yeah.
Just like you'll pretend you never hated Justin Bieber. You were more evolved than that, and that's fine. But you did. You loved Nickelback. Photograph was your favorite song. For sure.
Look at this photograph. That was the elementary school song.
Yeah.
Video. So I'll do anything to find that video.
Everyone got like ridiculously into Nickelback when we were kids. And for some reason, it's like, again, the reverse. Now there's like this weird, we can't like them anymore. Nothing changed. The song is the same. The song we loved as kids is exactly the same. But I can figure out why Justin Bieber, like why we changed opinion on him. I can't figure out why we changed opinion on. I think maybe they're kind of annoying. The like lead singer, a bit annoying, and so maybe like as kids we didn't recognize that we didn't like this person, and now as adults we like hear this person
having fun, yeah,
and we're like, oh, I don't want him to talk, and so maybe that's what it is. But it's they are inversely. I think if Nickelback wants to be back on top, they have to steal the power from Justin Bieber, sort of like a Space Jam thing, because it's almost like perfectly this way. As Bieber got more popular with young men, Nickelback got less popular. It was kind of weird, but everyone our age, like all the guys our age, like Nickelback when we were kids. So there's something there, and I'd have to do more look into it more. But there's something there that they're somehow connected. They have to be, because it's way too similar, like the exact same time periods that people were like, oh, Justin Bieber's not so bad. People were like, also, I hate Nickelback now. Mm-hmm. But they used to like it. And anyone who says they never like Nickelback is lying.
Yeah, whatever, Shane. Don't be afraid, people. They're not that bad.
Yes, and if you are still a Nickelback fan, wear it with pride. Don't tell me about it, but wear it with pride.
Man.
Around someone else.
When you remember getting your first iPod at the time, whether it was an iPod or iPod Nano or
Nano.
Yeah. And in middle school and just putting those songs on. The first ever song I bought was Boulevard of Broken Dreams. When I realized as I got older, what a depressing song. It's literally called Boulevard of Broken Dreams.
Yeah, he was a sad man, wasn't he?
Billy Joe Armstrong.
When we were that age anyway.
Yeah,
Didn't have a lot of happy thoughts there.
Wake me up when September ends. That's a pretty dark
Even the
quote.
happier ones weren't happy. They're still angry. Or, dejected. Not angry, that's different. They weren't angry. They were dejected. Like the time of your life.
Yeah.
He's not happy in that song. He's like defeated. He's like, whatever.
I lost, but hey,
I lost, but I hope you're having a good time.
Well, talk about graduation songs that are misinterpreted. Remember, ours was Unwritten. That song is so 2006.
She's famous again.
Really, what she do?
TikTok.
Oh, is that what you do?
People are dancing to her song now, Unwritten.
Oh my god, this new song, everybody! This old ass song,
and they're like doing really cool dances and stuff. And so then she saw it, and she did one video reacting to seeing it. Then she did another video where she broke down into the remix. She did the remix dance because it's remix. It's not exactly hers. It's like, but like a real remix. It's like a TikTok remix. And so yeah, and I think she's on The Masked Singer this season. I won't say who. It's not proven.
Feel
They're
the
very
rain.
good. They've not been unmasked, but I think Natasha Bedingfield is seizing the opportunity that TikTok gave her to get back on TV the only way celebrities from our time period who didn't make it big can, by putting on a silly costume and singing on Fox. It's the only way.
In a world where people who used to be famous trying to be famous again, because that's a whole podcast in itself. The Masked Singer seems to be a nice way to get that relevancy again.
Hey, it is. I mean, some people, I don't know. Sarah Palin was on.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying.
Hey, she's popular. Make
Palin
her come
2024, perhaps? I don't know.
What about Brendan Fraser? We need that.
Well, he's got a movie, so he doesn't need it. He doesn't need it. He found his own vehicle.
Somebody said if Keanu Reeves and Brendan Fraser made a movie and just said movie, and it was just called movie, everybody would flock. It'd be one of the greatest cinema achievements ever. You get the two internet's most beloved actors starring in a movie together.
I mean, but I don't know. Brendan Fraser needs to be careful because he hasn't done anything yet.
Yeah, he's gotten a lot of hype to not actually be in a big movie.
So
comeback.
If this is
his big comeback hasn't happened yet.
Right. If this is bad, he's in a lot of trouble.
Oh man, do you think the internet will?
But they finished filming, right?
I believe so. I know they. So
it's like it's locked in. If he was like, "Hey, this is a payday for me. I'm just happy to be out there," right? If that's the performance he put in, and now everyone's expecting like a second, like an Oscar-worthy second half, and he's starting off with that, and he can't change it. It's whatever he made before the internet found out. He did the whole thing before anyone knew. So he locked in those lyrics before anyone knew about it. And now people are hyping it up, and he can't do anything to make sure he lives up to the hype. Can't do a thing. He just has to hope that he acted his little heart out when there was nothing on the line, because now everything's on the line. That's a lot of pressure. If I were him, I'd be so nervous because, again, you can't fix it. Yeah, the only thing you can maybe do is try and get in another movie right now. Be like, everyone loves me. I need to get another part. I need to do it right now so I can start, and this one will be the real comeback.
Yeah, he's so far had a comeback without actually being in a movie.
Right. Like, this will be the one that's actually Oscar worthy.
Oh, man. He's got it. I just want to see him kill it so bad.
Everybody does, but I'm like, we're all acting like he did.
All right.
Not only did, like, and it can be one thing if we found out he was playing a part and then everyone was hyping it up like, oh, he's going to kill it. He's going to do such a good job. Because then at least you can try. You know what I mean? You can work at it. Be like, all right, everyone says I'm going to kill this, and so I have to kill it. But that's not what happened. He did it, and then we found out. So we're like, oh, he's going to kill it. Mm-hmm. But we don't know. And he can't kill it if he didn't already. You know what I mean? I get a lot of pressure. I'd be terrified. I'd be very scared.
Personally. But hey, he just doesn't. Yeah, so far he hasn't done anything wrong. But snap your fingers. Let's hope that he makes it all, because that's all we want to see. We just want a nice, good internet story that the internet created. By the way, Ryan, you see any of the new SNL episodes by any chance, or any clips of some sort?
Yeah, I saw the Owen Wilson one where he was reading for Cars 4, or actually Cars 5. How many Cars movies have they made? I don't know, but whatever number they've made plus one. That was a funny clip to me anyway. Not my sister, Lightning. And I can't use the R word, guys. Rust? Oh no, I can use that one.
Yo, dude, this guy James Austin Johnson, who's playing Biden, he's gonna be a real big star, man, if not already. I mean, can you imagine? I texted you about this guy, your first ever SNL, first you get on SNL, that's good enough. I mean,
yeah,
that's great. But the very first sketch of a season premiere, and you're the president of the United States, who's no one ever seen before. No one's done that.
It was the opener too.
And he killed it.
Yeah.
And he's just amazing at all these other impressions. Have you seen his Adam Driver? I've never even. Not. I don't even.
So what's weird to me is like he's probably our age, right?
Good question. I have to look that up. But James Austin Johnson. He says here he's born in 89, so that would be 31, 32.
Oh, okay. He's actually a little older than I thought. But like people like our age, like, because when you think of like impressionists, you think of obviously the very famous ones who are all older because they had to become famous.
Mm-hmm.
And so their impressions are all older. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like to think about like all of the impressionists who are our age, like again, Adam Driver. To me, that's a weird impression, but not really. He's super famous. It makes sense. And he has like a distinct voice. He's very deep and stuff. Like he has a voice that you could mimic if you're good at that sort of thing. So it's just kind of cool to see like people our age doing impressions because they're like, you know,
it's time now. Like here, you can see if anyone can see.
Let's go with Adam Driver. Good. Yes.
Well, you want to get it ready?
Yeah.
All right. Let's go with Adam Driver. Good. Yes. Let's have fun playing the game.
I've never, yeah, like you said, it's better now with these obscure ones. I mean, everyone like toss it. Your Arnold Schwarzenegger's, who's ever the president, you do the pressure one. But Adam Driver, and yeah, it's just more of this. He got a good John Gruden out of again. Who's thinking? Let me do John Gruden. I mean, we know why.
Gruden will be tough now.
I often send my friends emails about frigates, which are warships. I'll say, look at that flaming frigate.
Oh no. Yeah, John Gruden. I mean, it'll be really good for now, but that one's gonna have to go away in a couple of months, probably.
Hey, but
that one won't get to be back.
Anyways, he could just show those skills. We love James Austin Johnson, and we're your biggest fans here. Officially want to declare that James Austin Johnson, me and Ryan Page, a Productive Conversations podcast, is the Tweet Cap. We got your back.
At T Tweet Cap, give us a follow.
Yes. But that's I am tuning in to see what he's doing. And they've had some really good guests so far. Kim Kardashian was good.
Yes, surprisingly good. The Aladdin skit was pretty funny.
I didn't see the Rami Malek one yet. I probably will.
So they did a Squid Game skit that I wanted to watch. I have not watched it yet.
Yeah, it's like legitimately viral. Maybe the SNL's I mean, no, obviously Squid Games, but the sketch. Maybe SNL's turning a leaf, Ryan. Maybe this is the start of a new era.
I feel SNL, and it's not their fault actually. I used to blame them. I don't blame them anymore. Has just lost a segment of the population due to political differences.
Yeah,
and there's nothing they can do to change that. Even if they did a hard right turn, and I use that term exactly how you think I'm using it.
Yeah.
Like they could start bringing in the OAN crowd to guest host, and it's not gonna change people's opinions of them. Mm-hmm. There's just a group of people who are not gonna watch it, and they're gonna do, that's not funny, hasn't been funny since Eddie Murphy or whatever. That's fine.
40 years ago now, people.
Yeah. But and they're gonna say that, and that's fine. That's their right not to like something, but they don't actually think it's not funny. They just haven't watched it since then, or they've never watched it, but they do know that has this political satire, and they don't agree with the political satire. Let alone the fact that they do make fun of everyone, I would say. I mean, they make fun of some people more, but don't do things to deserve it and you won't get made fun of. But I mean, it's not like they make Biden out to be some hero. As an example. No. I mean, they play him as a doddering old man. That's how they do the impression, and that's how everyone besides Jim Carrey did the impression
by James Austin Johnson.
Yeah, Jim Carrey did this weird, I don't even know what, like presidential candidate on speed thing, which was still kind of funny, but it definitely wasn't Joe Biden.
You could tell this is Jim Carrey's take on Joe Biden,
which is really just Jim Carrey being 80 years old and running for president. You know what I mean? It's like what would happen if Jim Carrey was the president. Mm-hmm. That was because he was just himself, but he called himself Joe Biden, which he honestly might do if Jim Carrey ever ran for president and he was 80 years old. He might just start calling himself other presidents. He's a wacky guy, but no. So yeah, so they're not ever going to turn the leaf like they did before, I don't think, because of that group of people who will always just shit on them and will always try and drag their social ratings down, like because they're also tracking different stuff because no one's watching TV like they did before. Yeah, so they're going to check like social engagement, virability, likes and dislikes, and there's just always going to be
social engagement score.
No, seriously.
No, it's true. It's funny how that's they weren't thinking of that when the show debuted in the 70s.
Yeah, no, it's just the time of the time. How many likes and dislikes Eddie Murphy was going to get on YouTube when they put him on TV, but
yeah.
So, but it's just not going to ever be like it was. So I don't think they can turn a leaf, but I do think that for the people who like SNL, it's getting better.
Another thing they should do, they really need some more original characters. There hasn't really been an iconic original character since Stefan with Bill Hader. He's been off the show for like 7 years now. Like they need to bring some of those if they can. Obviously, you always will have people doing impressions, but I think it'd be a real benefit to have these original characters to connect and see what they're up to.
But they do try. Stuff. They just don't.
Oh yeah, they try, but they haven't.
They just don't take off. Like
yeah,
I mean,
like
they had
Pete Davidson's what's his name, Fred, Chad. And he's just Chad. He's like, okay,
okay.
Even though it's just
kind of funny. So you know which one I watched? I'm actually just thinking about this because Dune. I think that's tomorrow. Or
Dune Thursday comes out on
soon.
It'll be right after when this airs, but Dune does debut the weekend this comes out. Timothy Chalamet and Zendaya.
And so when he supposed to be great, they did this skit, and I'm gonna tweet it out, by the way, once this episode goes live. Called Tiny Horse. And it was like one of their musical skits that they did a lot of in COVID because they could film them off site.
Yeah.
With less people. And it's just, I don't know why. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Actually, it's like a clay horse, but it's alive and it becomes the president, goes to college, like cures a disease. It's very weird. And he sings it. Timothy Chalamet sings the song about this tiny horse. And I just love that skit so much. Mm-hmm. But it was like the only skit I ever, like when I think about like the last 3 years of SNL, it's like one of the only skits I think of. I mean, and I went to SNL.
Yeah.
In the last 3 years. And I remember that skit before I remember even the best skits from the episode I went to. And I mean, the Beyonce skit was very good. The one that we saw, the hot ones.
Yeah,
that was pretty
Maya
good.
Rudolph.
I really liked that one. Yeah, Maya Rudolph.
She won an Emmy for that episode. So we were at an Emmy-winning episode.
I know. But I also didn't think it was that strong an episode.
Yeah, she really hit the critics on that one. She hit somebody in the right bone, at the right bone.
But like I said, the Beyonce
it was tough TV anyways, but
yeah, the Beyonce was good though. Like that was
maybe that won it.
Very
won the sketch.
Could have.
She put it on her tape that she submitted.
Maybe she did because that was very good. I rewatched it when I got like home or the next day rather than Sunday.
Gotta watch this again.
I thought it was funny. I wanted to see how it looked like on camera and not like in person. But so, I also like Ego, and I can't say her last name, and I apologize.
Yeah, I know who it is, but Ego though on the show.
But she had an original character. I hope they use it more. The Edith.
Yeah,
because they used it twice because they put it in Like it was a joke for like that one skit where everybody had the ridiculous names.
Mhm.
And then when they did one of their rap songs, everyone start going, Edith Puthy. And then she just went into a rap. And so now she's a rapper. It's a rap character. So I hope they just find ways to put that name or that character into just a bunch of skits. And it'll be different because usually a recurring character has one bit and
Yeah.
they do it. Like, Gumby or Stefan,
Mhm.
right? But have them like it's like to have the one character appear in multiple different types of skits.
Yeah.
I think would actually be kind of funny. Like it's like an alter ego. Kind of like how Leslie Jones, although she wasn't an alter ego, she was just herself.
Yeah.
Like how she really just played Leslie Jones in the skits.
But hey, that's
But
always
it was
fun
funny.
too.
Right, because she's just funny. So I hope they do that. Like they start doing more raps. Because she's very good. She's very good at the rap stuff.
Yeah.
Like she did the one with Megan Thee Stallion about the bottom of your face.
Mhm.
That one was really good. Actually, all of the rap stuff, all of the music stuff, rather, stuck with me the last 2 seasons. That's the stuff that I liked the best, except for our episode about the NFTs, which wasn't bad. I just didn't care.
Yeah. I think those are all great. With what they were able to accomplish, even with those shows, especially in the heart of pandemic.
Oh yeah, I mean,
props
the fact that
to
they
them.
did it is awesome.
Yeah, and again, just always shows the genius of Lorne Michaels, and yeah, that's why as long as he's there, the show will always have a pulse.
What do you think will
I enjoy
happen
that.
when he decides to no longer do the show? Will it just end?
I bet
Or
you
will
Tina
someone else
Fey
try
takes
it?
over.
Think so?
Becomes the executive producer. Yeah, that's
Tina
my
Fey
guess.
specifically, or just another alumni?
Tina Fey specifically. I mean, she's not really doing much anymore. She's accomplished everything in the comedy world. Why not, take this, get a nice paycheck, and show your genius even more that way? That's my guess.
I mean, I don't know because I really like Jost and Shay, but they should go back. They should go back to having a man and a woman on Weekend Update.
I would like that too.
I think it'd be funny, but you don't want to split up.
Whenever
Colin
they
Jost
feel
will
like
leave eventually.
Whenever they feel like not doing it, bring it that. See a nice new team.
Colin Jost will leave eventually because his wife is just buku rich. So.
Yeah, Scarlett Johansson. I mean, remember that thing?
Although she lost a bunch to Disney.
Oh, that whole thing.
Don't touch the mouse. You mess with the mouse, you get the horns.
Oh, and watch when they make if Black Widow the next movie she somehow dies all of a sudden. You wrote this.
She did. She died.
Oh, I haven't seen
already.
Black Widow
They
yet.
killed they already even before all this. They killed Black Widow, so they don't have to deal with her ever again. She's out.
So I guess they knew something was up, huh?
They literally planned it perfectly. They don't need her at all. She has no leverage.
Well, but also back, I sent you that article about SNL, how they think a lot of the cast members are staying for just because there's not a lot of other work opportunities out there for comedic actors.
Ghost was in Tom and Jerry.
Well, he has to stay for another 5
Why
years.
did you laugh? That's a real movie that was really made by real people.
And that's why he said
John Leguizamo was in it.
So I guess that's again why he's still saying on Weekend Update. Tom and Jerry didn't exactly transform careers, not like Jason Sudeikis and Ted Lasso, or
who would have thought that?
Bill Hader and Barry.
Which that's kind of been on the back
need to bring
burner
that.
Too.
They really need to bring that. That would show if they ended it ends on a cliffhanger. That could not happen. That would be, in fact, one of the darkest ways to end a series. Like that would be the darkest ending. Again, spoiler.
A series ever, yeah.
Where the main character just goes on his killing spree. The end. It's like some messed up foreign film. This was at least before the pandemic. I think it was 2019 now. Pretty much 2022 is around the corner. So to figure out something, what happened the last 3 years, Barry?
So I feel like for like Jost and Shay in particular, and I don't know how SNL would feel about this, but they don't need SNL to do their show. They could steal Weekend Update.
They just do Weekend Update on like HBO or something.
Yeah,
they go over there
or
Showtime.
Apple or whatever. Like, yeah, they could eat everyone would be interested in that, and they could easily do it.
Yeah, I think they would have a legit audience.
So, but I maybe it's because like they wouldn't want to mess up what SNL has going on.
Yeah, it'd be kind of hard if you did a news commentary show. This is a weekend update. This is update of the weekend, or something like that.
But I feel like they could easily do it, and they could definitely fill more time than they get on Saturday.
Yeah, and
they could fill longer time.
They started the reason why Weekend Update was created way back in the 70s said if the show did bad or hosted awful, they always have that to fall back on.
Oh yeah, that was like the hit no matter what.
Yeah, so yeah, I do think
might be why all of the big stars come out of Weekend Update. You ever notice that?
Yeah, right. You know,
all of the big stars from SNL, with a couple exceptions, like I would say, well, Eddie Murphy, but also Pete Davidson. I would say he's a star at this point.
Oh yeah, he's definitely the most recognizable name in the cast right now.
Part of that is Ariana Grande, but also, he was never Weekend Update. Like he's been on it, but he's never.
Yeah, he definitely showcased a lot of his skills on Weekend Update, but yeah, you notice like Chevy Chase and Bill Murray, Tina Fey, Jimmy Fallon, Amy Poehler, Seth Meyers, even though his show.
Well, that didn't work, but he tried.
Hey, it's still on the air, so might as well.
Better than my show, which is non-existent.
But yeah, that's a good point. Norm Macdonald, rest in peace, the best to ever do it there. And it shows, unless like you said, the exceptions, your Will Ferrell's, Adam Sandler's, who just did great characters and impersonations.
Yeah,
that's where they mostly come from. And at the end of the day, it's still just as iconic.
And they are all impressionists, aren't they? Again, Pete Davidson being a big exception.
Yeah, pretty much.
But again, he had that Ariana Grande boost.
Will Ferrell was a great impressionist. He did Bush.
Yeah. No, they were. And again, Eddie Murphy. They weren't necessarily impressions. They were impressions.
Yeah, he did like James Brown, which is good and stuff.
Yeah. He also had original characters. Yeah, but they all did the voices. Maybe I should say voices. Voices are different than impressions.
Yeah,
they weren't all real people, but they all, Adam Sandler, Eddie Murphy, and Will Ferrell, all acted in someone else's voice, like Opera Man, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
You know, it's funny. Always funny about Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood when he came back.
Gentrification.
This shitty apartment's worth $5 million. That really is bizarre. You know, in fact, I'm gonna watch that once I'm done there. It just shows his brilliance, man.
He's good. Do you watch The Movies That Made Us on Netflix?
I haven't yet, but that's literally my type of show. Yeah, I haven't seen.
You've never watched a single episode.
Never seen.
There's 3 whole seasons. This could take up the rest of your month. But you should watch it.
There's some good stuff. That's my type of show.
I mean, I'm going to read it off real quick. I mean, we're getting close to the time, so maybe we shouldn't be listing off movies from Netflix, but whatever. This is just the quickly type of show we run.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just finished season 3 today, actually.
What do they have?
RoboCop I watched today. But
ever see RoboCop? The movie? But very underrated movie.
It's a good movie.
Yeah.
So season 1 is Dirty Dancing.
Mm-hmm.
Home Alone,
yes,
Ghostbusters, and Die Hard. That's it. 4 movies, right?
All iconic classics.
Well, that's kind of the point. Season 2, Back to the Future, which is a really good episode of that particular show. Pretty Woman, another good episode. Jurassic Park and Forrest Gump, again a four. And then season 3, more than 4. They're down to like 7, I think. Ooh. But season 3, Halloween, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street. So let me know if you're catching the theme. Aliens.
Okay. But Aliens, then it goes, not Alien.
Aliens. Yeah, it's the sequel. This is the only time they did this, by the way. Usually it's like the first thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But Aliens, the sequel, is the one they wrote about.
It's crazy how different of those are completely different movies.
But also then RoboCop. So they leave the Halloween behind, right? Coming to America.
Yeah.
So, speaking of Eddie Murphy, was on that one. And then Nightmare Before Christmas and Elf. So 2 different holiday movies are also currently on season 3. Now, I will say Elf came out like in the middle. was not actually, they retconned Elf into season 3. It came out last Christmas, but they didn't know where to put it. So for a while they had
Let's figure it
the
out
holiday
right here.
movie. So for a while they had the holiday movies that made us.
Mhm.
They just had up there, and then they just deleted it and put it on season 3 of the movies that made us. But no, like again, really, really, really good, and you can watch it in any order. Doesn't really matter.
Yeah, and they
You can
just
skip
pretty
around to
much
the
give
movies you like the best.
a retrospective of how these films were made. Big featurettes.
Yep.
All right, I'm definitely gonna let you know how that goes. And this last 2 questions, a very quick one: is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
Well, do you watch it at Christmas?
No, but I could see
Then-
why.
Then no. If you do, if you watch Die Hard and Christmas movie, then yeah, it's a Christmas movie.
Do you watch Die Hard on Christmas? You
I have,
could.
yeah. I have. Yeah.
One of the best villains of all time, and one of the best ever lines in a movie involving Santa. Ho, ho, ho.
No, it's I mean, in terms of is it a Christmas movie? I mean, if you watch it at Christmas time and that's part of your Christmas movies are the movies you watch at Christmas. I mean, it's like it's the tradition. Like that's what makes it Christmas. I mean, yes, there are movies that are explicitly about Christmas. I understand that. But like if you never watched The Polar Express, yeah, it's a Christmas movie. But like you don't think about that and think about Christmas. So if you think about Christmas and what you and your family or your friends do every Christmas, and Die Hard is in that mix somehow. If you're baking gingerbread and watching, Yippee-ki-yay, then yeah, Christmas movie. I don't usually, but I've only ever seen it like twice. So
Merry Christmas, you filthy animal. And is A Nightmare Before Christmas a Christmas movie or a Halloween movie?
I watched that one at Christmas time.
Ooh. That caused a big
but
debate
not
amongst the
like-
hipsters.
But it's not like, I don't watch that on like Christmas Eve. But I don't. So like I watch horror movies almost exclusively all October for Halloween. Like that's when I watch most of the horror movies, and I rewatch the classics, obviously the ones that I like the best. But I also try and watch ones I've never seen before.
Yeah.
Like this year, I watched a really gross movie, but it was very good, called It Follows. I'm not recommending it because it is very gross.
It Follows. Obviously, the sequel to It.
Nope.
Oh, it's not.
Yeah. I won't get into
I always
it on
I
the
always get
podcast.
confused with those.
Yeah, no, there's It and It Volume 2. So there is a sequel to It, but they just call it It Volume 2. But It Follows, different movie. I liked it, but it was gross. So
They couldn't just pick another name. You'd think that they would be confused.
So It was weird. So It, the movie, the villain of It is Pennywise the clown. There's like a name. Whereas in this movie, It is what they call the monster. They do not name the monster ever. It's just It. So it's here, like meaning the monster. So that's why they went with It Follows, because they literally just call it. But so yeah, I mean, like I said, seek it out if you're okay with gross stuff, with kind of a gross movie, because it is an interesting concept and it's decently done. It's like kind of like a Blumhouse-y feel to it. It's not Blumhouse. But yeah, so I watched a few new ones.
Yeah, and can I also say It Follows, the critical consensus from Rotten Tomatoes? It said, and tell me if you agree with this. Smart, original, and above all, terrifying. It Follows is a rare modern horror film that works on multiple levels and leaves a lingering sting.
Yeah, no, I think it worked well. I enjoyed the movie, but I wasn't prepared for it to be as gross as it was. Like I said, because when you think of gross in movies, you're usually thinking gore, and there was plenty of gore as well. But it's weird because you also think of like 80s gore.
Yeah.
Like Friday the 13th.
When I think of gore,
looking.
The peak of gore for me is Midsommar. That was disturbing.
I never saw Midsommar.
That is a horror movie you have to try. Especially, I'd love to hear your take on it. But it was just gross, huh?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's a couple of scenes. Either it's not all of the movie. The concept lends itself to be gross too. I will say.
Yeah, and
I'm assuming you're reading the concept right now.
Yeah, it says here, Jamie J. Height, a 19-year-old college student, is pursued by a supernatural entity after a sexual encounter.
Right. So I don't want to give any more away, but I will say the concept, and you can kind of get a hint at it from there. The concept lends itself to be gross.
Yeah,
so I probably should have known. And it's not as gross as you probably think it is based off of that title based off of that reading. But there are some gross out parts.
Yeah, there's some big analysis here. There's a big analysis page and everything, starring
it's a good movie.
Maika Monroe.
Well, horror movies never really get huge names, but
there's somebody here named Lil. Oh, I thought that said Lil Seppi, but it's Lily Sepp.
I also saw for the first time ever The Thing.
Really? The John Carpenter version. Isn't that an awesome movie? Talking about 80s gore.
Yeah, that was a good movie.
Kurt Russell, what a badass movie.
Yeah, so that was this year's first time I watched that. So like I said, like to be a nice mix. And of course I always watch Nightmare on Elm Street. I always watch the original Halloween. And so, like I said, I don't fit Nightmare Before Christmas into my October. That's all I'll say. Is it a Christmas movie? I don't know. But I don't watch it along with all of the other Halloween movies that I watch. So I guess if I have to pick, if I'm putting it in a lane, it is a post-Halloween movie.
Okay. Fair. Good one. And Ryan, the last point, there's a big John Carpenter movie you have to see. Like, this is a must, Ryan. Have you seen They Live?
No.
You know who stars in this iconic classic?
Horror movie, I assume, but...
No, it's more sci-fi. I mean, sci-fi horror, more like sci-fi action. But you know who stars it? Roddy Piper, and he's fucking awesome in it.
Oh, I've heard of this. Yeah,
dude, you gotta see this. It's a really fast watch too. It's only 90 minutes. It's one of my favorite.
Oh, it's on Peacock too. Okay,
it's one of my favorite sci-fi movies of all. It might actually be my favorite, and it's like really deep themes, and it just looks spectacular. And it stars Roddy Piper in his prime.
Man, I miss Roddy Piper. Oh, seriously. Keith David's in it too.
Yeah, Keith David, who killed it in The Thing. What a great voice that guy has. And yeah, dude, you have to watch They Live. I mean, that I need to hear your take on that. I mean, oh my goodness. And pretty much any street art has been influenced it over the last like 15 years. Yeah, it's really fascinating. It follows an unnamed drifter who discovers who discovers through special sunglasses that a ruling class of aliens concealing their appearance and manipulating to consume, breed, and conform the status quo via subliminal message in the mass media. So,
man, we're giving a very, very, very dangerous movies a platform here.
Oh.
In the modern day context, there's a lot of people who will take that movie the wrong way. It is a movie. It is not meant to be historical. It's not meant to be historical document. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's not real.
But
Roddy Piper is starring in it. He is not actually a Wander. He is a professional wrestler.
Dude, this is his peak. This is when he was fighting Hulk Hogan size. So you definitely have to let me know when you see that. I mean, and it has probably one of the greatest fight scenes of all time.
Of course. Mm-hmm. You don't book Roddy Piper unless you're trying to book a fight scene.
Yeah, no spoilers.
No spoilers. It's late anyway. Don't spoil it.
Exactly.
I'll watch that tomorrow.
Let me know what you think. But anyways, Ryan, it's great to have you as always to celebrate the 1 year anniversary and just reminiscing about the good times. Next time we have you, we'll definitely do a tweet cap.
Sounds good.
And thanks again, Ryan. We appreciate you a lot. Couldn't do it without you.
Thanks, Matt. Have a good night.
Have a great night, Ryan. Thank you.